Number 2. The designs. For audiences, the thoughts on the designs are roughly a mix. They are generally a good thing to an average viewer, but an incredibly bad thing to fans. You see, the fans love the designs for the original series, aka Generation 1, or at least designs that are much closer to them, because while they are creative, they are much more basic and the Transformers just look better that way. So with that said, they hate how the designs for the movies are a little more complex. Now at first, I actually thought the general concept of these designs were just great. Let me finish. Yes, I liked them, and in some cases I still kind of like them, because I thought they looked cool, they were more realistic, and the fact that their parts are showing kind of sort of makes sense. I mean, no sense in making Bumblebee completely yellow if that's just part of his disguise, right? Plus, it is really nice to see all of that detail they put into the Transformers whenever they are in their robot modes. And in fairness, they do have some individual designs that are still pretty enjoyable just to look at. I mean, my goodness, just look at what they came up with for Demolisher in Revenge of the Fallen. This has to be one of the most unique designs ever done in the entire franchise, in my opinion. I practically can't get enough of how creative he looks in his robot mode. And true, I have no idea where he gets those giant wheels from transforming out of a construction vehicle, but he's still great just to look at in my book. So there are some good aspects for the design that some people like me still enjoy. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized that the designs also work against the Transformers, because it also sometimes makes it very hard to tell them apart when you're seeing both parts and the plating that has the colors that help a Transformer stand out, especially in a fight scene. Yes, part of the problem is the explosions and the shaky cam, but it's also that you mostly see parts as well as plating, if not even more so in some cases. So when they're fighting, the Transformers look like nothing but giant grayish blurs so that you can't quite tell who is punching who, or even what exactly is happening to begin with. Especially when most of the Decepticons are all in gray or blackish colors, making it even harder to tell who is who from their side. Heck, the first couple of times I watched the Force fight in Revenge of the Fallen, I thought Optimus was fighting like 8 totally random Decepticons. So it took a while before I was able to tell that he was only fighting Megatron, Starscream, and Grindor. And as great as it is that the designs look complex, there are a lot of other examples as to why the complexity can be a little too much. I mean, some Transformers like Megatron do kind of look like a bunch of random scraps of metal mashed together into some kind of figure. And I'm not gonna deny it, there are some designs that are just terrible. Not just on how they look, but even what they came up with for how they act. They especially in some cases have made the Decepticons to act like wild beasts. Even Megatron, since the first movie, has a strange habit of growling and roaring with big, sharp, pointy teeth. Why are the Decepticons doing any of this? They're already evil on account of wanting to destroy the world and everything on it. I doubt we need to have them occasionally act like mindless wild animals. What is a little bit worse are the hatchlings, which are basically the babies of the Transformers, who also act and look like wild animals growling and everything. So, before Optimus was a great leader and Bumblebee was a friendly Autobot everyone loves, they were basically this? Just who would be okay with that? Not to mention that there are some pretty bad individual designs that need to be mentioned. Like the Fallen, who has the face of an ape, and a head shaped like the top of a xenomorph's head. Then we also have Brains, who looks just gross. The twins in Jetfire, who quite frankly speak for themselves. And don't get me started on Wheeljack until the next video. Oh, and let's not forget Devastator acting so primitive that he shows his testicles without a care.
I am directly below the enemy scrotum.
Now again, they are trying a more realistic and generally different approach compared to the original series, where they had all these different kinds of colors and their shapes were roughly simple and all that stuff, and I totally get that. But we also want to genuinely see these guys, no matter what they're doing, and actually like what we're seeing. And that's hard to do when the colors don't stand out well enough to make them truly distinct, and a good portion of the Transformers either act like wild animals, or just have designs that just are plain terrible all around. So as much as it makes sense that they made the Transformers a little more realistic so that non-fans can enjoy them, what they have come up with for these movies is only half working, half making things utterly terrible. So what should have been done is that the design should be at least similar to the Generation 1 designs, and that they are a little more simple so you can clearly see who is who, and that you hide their parts whenever they're in their robot mode. I mean, showing the parts is fine when they're transforming, because that way you get to see all this detail of these different pieces of their bodies moving around, and it is so fun to watch. But when you want to really see these guys, whether they're fighting or not, that's where we should see more color and fewer parts so that everyone can stand out. I'm not completely saying that this really is how you design them so that both fans and non-fans can enjoy them, because for all I can tell, there possibly is a bit more to it than that. But if anything, it's a very safe bet that what they have come up with here for these films is just not really working.